Yeah, I don't know about the Air. I mean, yeah, it's neat, but like, is it not? It's not really. What is going on with my camera? Come on, Samsung. It doesn't like me browsing iPhones. Uh, it does come in some nice colors, though. And by colors, I mean like shades of white. See, but black looks too much like the 16E, honestly. I think blue is the best color for the Air. Um, my question is, who is this even for? Like, who is this iPhone 16e even for? Or not the 16e, the 17 Air. What am I talking about? I'm freaking stupid. Anyway, like what's the? I don't know. It's weird. Let's look at the iPhone 17 Pro. Oops. If I could click, there we go. Let's look at the Pro. Now the Pro is obviously like the best model you can get, of course, but is it even? I mean, that color is really cool, I will say. It's definitely the best iPhone color they've had within the past 5 years, for sure. Um, yeah, that cosmic orange is just really neat. Um, I mean, you can get it with a terabyte of storage. I don't understand why you would. You can, though. And the Pro Max, I mean, technically, my phone right now, it's a Galaxy S24 Ultra, is a Pro Max size device, but I am not. I honestly don't really care. I'd honestly rather save the money and get the smaller size anyway, um, and get the save the money and get the storage. But what do you guys think about the orange color? Because I'm actually really stoked with the color choice that they chose on this. Because this actually looks pretty freaking good. If I do say so myself. The fact that they only offer three colors though is a little weird. I wish they had black, even though I wouldn't choose black honestly, because the other colors are honestly fantastic. But yeah, I just think not having black is weird because it's Apple, and the fact that um, every other iPhone in the past like who knows how long has been offered in black. So this is like the first one that's not been offered in black. There's also the 17, which is fine, but at least they did actually bring some decent upgrades to the 17. They brought the Pro Motion screen from the Pro of last year to the 17, and I think it might actually share the 17 Pro display because I think it might be the same panel because it has the same peak brightness and the same refresh rate, and it does have an always-on display. So for a base iPhone, if you haven't upgraded yet and you're still on like a 12 or an iPhone 11 and you want to upgrade, this is the time to do it because the 17 is honestly the biggest upgrade they've had, I believe, since honestly the 14 or the 15. I feel like this is the best overall upgrade for most people. Yeah, I know they brought the camera control and USB-C to the 15, but those were kind of small because remember the base model 15 didn't get the action button and the 16 didn't really bring much over the 15 in terms of performance except for the camera control. So like eh. Um, yeah, let's look at the colors on this because this is actually it's very enticing if you are a fan of the base model iPhone. I actually kind of like that color, but it's like Kia Soul green, like it's a little I don't know. I mean, they obviously have lavender and they have blue. Blue's pretty good, and they have white and black, obviously. If I was to choose an actual color, I think I'd actually go with the green. If I was gonna actually buy it, though, I'd go with black. Um, no terabyte storage option on the 17. You can only get 256 or 512. And there is no iPhone 17 Plus, so you just have the standard size one. They don't offer a Plus model anymore, which is interesting to me because you would think that they would sell relatively high amounts of the Plus models, but they don't for whatever reason, which is very weird. If you guys are seeing some artifacting, this is Samsung being crap at live stream. Um, Yeah, I'm actually considering, because I have an iPhone. I have an old 14 Pro that I use to record my YouTube videos on. And so I still use this as my camera. But if I got the new phone, I would either sell this or give it to someone or trade it in some way and use this as my main camera, sell the Galaxy, and use an iPhone, because I've always been an iPhone guy when it comes to video. There's no doubt about that. iPhone is definitely the best for video, and because I have a MacBook, this is important for AirDrop. Yes, I know that's not a MacBook, but I have my MacBook Pro in here. If I can get this out without being stupid. Ugh. Yeah, here, so this is my M1 13-inch, or 14-inch, sorry, MacBook Pro. And this is why I like recording videos on an iPhone, because it just talks to the MacBook a lot easier via AirDrop. And yeah, I know you can plug in your Samsung and do the file transfer, but in my opinion, that's never worked. So I honestly think AirDrop is actually faster and more reliable than most of the solutions I've found for Android. And yes, I know there is workarounds to make Android the better alternative, but you know, this is just a way slicker experience, so I kind of appreciate that. Anyway, that's besides the point. Back to this. So, I honestly don't mind the blue, but I don't know. Orange is definitely the cooler color, but like if you want to blend in, you get silver, because silver is just, it's a really nice looking color, but it's a little bland. And I will say the glass back being only part of the phone does look a little bit weird. I know why they did it. It's just a little odd. Because it used to go the whole way around the back of the phone, and it used to be under the camera. And I know why they did this design. It's for heat dissipation and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a little bit weird how they talked big about titanium for the last 2 years. The 15 was the real big thing with titanium, and then the 16 had it still, but they didn't say too much about it. And then now they just quietly switched to aluminum, and they talked about that a bunch, but it's kind of backwards, because it used to be the iPhone 6 was aluminum, then they went to aluminum with glass on the 7, or actually, sorry, the 7 is still all aluminum. Then the 8 had a glass back. Then on the 10, they went to stainless steel. And then on the 15, they went to titanium. And now they're back with aluminum again. Kind of went full circle. Yeah, let's look at the Pro Max. What's the most expensive one you can make, just for funsies? So this one's $1199 base price for the Pro Max, which, yeah, is expensive, but it's honestly on par with Samsung, so it makes sense. You can go up to 2 terabytes. I don't know why you would ever need 2 terabytes on a phone. No trade-in, buy. Yeah, so $2,000 is the max price. $2,000 for an iPhone. That's steep. That is really steep. Yeah, I agree with you, Melissa. I think the 17 Pro is the best balance overall. This is like the Air. Honestly, let's go look at the Air, because yeah, let's actually do the comparison tool. Where is that? Compare, there we go. So here's the Pro Max. Let's go to a Pro. Oh, my cat's at the door. There's the Pro, the Air, and the 17. Now, they both have roughly the same screen size. The Air is actually a little bit bigger than the standard size Pro, which is interesting. They all have the action button and the camera control, but the iPhone Air actually still has the titanium frame, which is interesting. Everything else has aluminum. And it used to be the other way around, where the Pro had titanium and everything else was aluminum, so that's a little interesting. The 2 more expensive phones get the A19 Pro, but the Pro is nerfed a little, or sorry, the Air is nerfed a little bit because it loses the GPU core. I'm assuming with these is the fact that I believe the A19 Pros with the binned GPU might be the ones that failed quality control on one of the GPU cores, so they're just reusing them to save cost. That's my guess. You also notice the video playback, 33 hours on the Pro, 27 on the Air, so yeah, I agree that the Air battery life may not be up to par, but it might be okay. Considering that the old iPhone 16 actually had like 25 hours of battery life, let's go to the 16 here. Yeah, 22 hours. So the Air is actually still better than the 16 by Apple's, I admittedly useless metric of video playback hours. Like, who's using video playback as a metric for battery life, especially when it's definitely downloaded onto the phone and not using Wi-Fi? Anyway, that's besides the point. It's just a comparison metric at this point. They both have the center stage camera, which is honestly pretty cool. So the sensor is now a square sensor, and it'll crop around the image, so you can rotate the front camera to landscape without actually rotating the phone, which means the camera actually stays in the center of the frame, which is nice. And it does that automatically, so you don't have to do that manually. And it is now 18 megapixels. And the big thing for me, honestly, about the Air is the camera. You only have one rear camera sensor. I don't know how I feel about that. That seems like, I mean, for $1,000 for the Air, that's a hard sell, especially with the battery life being guaranteed to be worse than the Air. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. They both have USB-C, or sorry, they all have USB-C, although annoyingly the Pro is the only one with USB 3. USB 3 has been around since like 2014 or something. So, I don't know why they still use USB 2. It's to make you upgrade to the Pro is why, but I mean, most people are fine. It's fine to have USB 2 for most people, but if you're doing a lot of exporting of videos to other places, you need the Pro because it has the USB 3. And you'll notice that the charging wattage on the Pro and the regular is actually higher than the Air. I'm assuming this has to do with heat, because the Air probably gets significantly hotter since it doesn't have that new heat sink that the Pros do. And yeah, so here's some more display specs. They all have ProMotion. They all have an always-on display, which is new for the base model. They both have a 460 pixels per inch display density or pixel density, and the brightness is all the same. And yeah, so basically all the specs are the same for the screen other than the size. The Pro has the Air has a 6.5-inch screen versus the Pro and the regular 17 have a 6.3-inch screen. And obviously the Pro Max has that 6.9-inch nice screen. So yeah, they offer some things. The big difference with the Air though is you notice the weight, because this is 206 for the Pro. The Air is 165 grams, and the 17 is actually 177. And for reference, a Galaxy S24 Ultra is around 220, and I know that's a larger phone. So if you do the Pro Max, Pro Max, then it's 233. I think S24 Ultra is about 230 in that range. So the Air is actually surprisingly light. Like, that's really light. And also the thickness, only 5.6 millimeters. It's very, very thin. And they're all IP68. They all have Apple Intelligence, blah, blah, blah. Nobody actually cares about this because, like, they haven't done anything useful with it. What else? They all have the A19, although the upper two phones have the Pro, like I mentioned before. Cameras, yeah, so the Air can't do macro photography because it doesn't have the doesn't have that ultra wide lens. And that's interesting. The Air doesn't have cinematic mode. I'm pretty sure my iPhone 14 has that. That's an odd thing to get rid of. Same thing with spatial video. The Air doesn't have that, but you have to have two cameras for that, so that makes sense. And yeah, the microphone the microphone array on the lower two phones is worse, which makes sense. And there's one thing that they actually don't mention on here, but in the actual spec sheet, the Air only has one speaker, the earpiece. That's a big yikes. That is a big, big yikes. I understand that there's not a lot of space to put things in there, but, like, that's kind of concerning that the Air only has that one speaker. It better be decent, because that's a very small slit for the sound to come out of. So yeah, I'm gonna guess this is probably gonna have the worst iPhone speakers. Maybe not of all time, but definitely maybe worst 3. Like, it'll make the top 3 worst iPhone speakers. They do have the new C1X modem, which is Apple-based, and it's more efficient, which is cool. For the Air only, though, I'm surprised they only put it on this phone and not the Pro. I'm assuming maybe because of the compromised battery life, so they need the more efficient modem, but they might actually be slower than the Qualcomm modems that they're using on the Pro. So, yeah. Although I don't understand when Apple does like 40% faster than the iPhone 14 Pro. That's a 3 generation old device. I don't know why they do that. Yes, yeah, so 70% faster, but like then what? Like that's from a 14 Pro. See, like compared to a 15 Pro, which then again isn't even the most recent. The 16 Pro is. It's only 20% faster, like basically 25% faster overall. So, and that's a 15 Pro. So 16 Pro is only probably like 10%. Then again, this is the Air though, so it might be a little bit lower than the Pro. And yeah, the Air is eSIM only. So if you live in the US, that doesn't matter because all iPhones are eSIM anyway. But if you live in the EU or Africa or something like that, where they use SIM trays, this won't. I'm not going to say it won't work, but it's not going to be great. And obviously now they have like liquid glass and stuff like that, which is standard across the board. That's a software update thing. What else do we got? They have the satellite thing, which they've had since the iPhone 14, I believe. New ceramic shield, which should make it more durable. Thank God, because of how thin it is. I don't like the where they say like, oh, it has 2 cameras in one. That just means you're cropping in. So like to get the zoom lens, you just crop into your main lens, which I guess it works because it's 48 megapixels. But that seems a little bit like cheating, if you ask me. Yeah, what does this mean? What does this mean? Oh, compared to a 15 Pro. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, up to 4 more video hours than what? Oh yeah, they also have this really stupid looking freaking loop case. That's dumb. And what I found funny is during the keynote, they right after they talked about the battery life, they announced that they're making a battery pack for it, which tells me the battery life might not be as good as they say it is. And it only fits the Air because of the height. So if you get a Pro or a regular 16, or sorry, regular 17, the camera would get in the way. So yeah, I'm starting to think that the Air doesn't really make much sense. I mean, I already knew that, but like, it's definitely not a good value device, just period. It's definitely function over form. But if you don't really care, or sorry, form over function. There you go. I got it backwards. It's form over function. But if you really don't care about the function, then it's pretty cool. But I think everyone else should just get the iPhone 17. This is plenty for basically everyone. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say don't get the iPhone Air. I'd like some people to try because I think it'll be an interesting device in the history of Apple. But I think it's going to go down as one of those devices that sold really poorly, kind of like the iPhone Mini. I loved the iPhone Mini, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of compromised in terms of battery life. It was the main problem. And so it didn't sell that well. Same thing with the Plus models, although the Plus models didn't have any compromise at all. I don't know why they didn't sell better than they did. Yeah, so that's the iPhones. Let's talk about the Apple Watch Series 11, shall we? Definitely the less interesting thing that they announced, but yeah, so just looks like an Apple Watch. Not really seeing much different. Is there even anything different? That speaker looks different though, but I don't know if that's the same as the 10 or not. From what I remember, it used to be a slit, like all the way across. What the frick is this camera doing? Come on. Sorry. Freaking Samsung video. Yeah, you see it like going in and out of focus there? Anyway. I mean, these are just normal Apple Watch things, like specs that they've had for a long time. Was it always 46 millimeters? Was that the same on the Series 10? I haven't actually kept track because last time they announced a new Apple Watch, I was an Android user. How is the 16 Pro Max different from the 17 Pro? Okay, well, good question. Let me go back. So the main differences from what I'm seeing is the construction. So this is the aluminum unibody, as you can see here. It's no longer titanium. Um, and it has a new vapor chamber, and it has a much larger battery. So that's how the um, that's the main difference between the 16 and the 17 Pro. Obviously, there is more minor differences, like all the cameras are higher resolution on the 17, so they're all 48 megapixels instead of, I believe, the telephoto on the 16 was still 12, if I'm not mistaken. And they have the new center stage front camera on the 17, and of course the different construction, like I mentioned before, and the bigger battery. So if you have a 16, I would not upgrade. Now, if you have anything that's older than a 14, then it'd probably be worth upgrading. How different are the batteries? Well, let's find out. I saw a hold on, a post about the battery capacities that were supposedly leaked. Now, I can't claim that this is true, but I saw, yeah, right here, Mac rumors. So it says that the base Pro has 18% more battery capacity compared to the 16. So you can see the 16 Pro is 3,582 milliamp hours, and the 17 Pro is 4,200 milliamp hours. So that's actually a pretty significant increase. That's like 600 milliamp hours, which is like a whole Apple Watch battery difference. And obviously the Pro Max has a less gross of a difference. Is only 8.6%, but it's finally crossed the 5,000 milliamp hour barrier compared to 4.6K. And now the new chips are more efficient, so I'm guessing this will probably have maybe 20% better battery life if you compare the 16 Pro to the 17 Pro, not the Max, just the regular. It's just speculation. Maybe if you want to make that estimate more conservative, you can do 15% better battery life, which is a actually pretty significant jump if you think about it. And these new phones charge significantly quicker from what I've heard, at least on MagSafe. Why did they go away from titanium? Well, they went away from titanium because of the ease of manufacture, because titanium is more expensive for less material. And two, I believe it's for the cooling, because you can see this unibody chassis and the, let me go up here. If you go over, okay, there we go. So they have this new vapor chamber, and this is bonded to that aluminum unibody chassis. And so it helps cool the CPU, because the iPhone 15 and 16 series had issues with overheating. And I've actually experienced this on my 14 Pro pretty consistently. If you film or do really anything outdoors, these things like to overheat. So I'm hoping that this new cooling system actually helps pretty significantly. So, yeah. Your 25 Pro Max... Yeah, there you go, 15. I was about to say, there's no way. All right, good luck. Anyway, so yeah, the 25 Pro Max. What was I talking about? So yeah, the overheating issues on the older phones might actually have been remedied with that vapor chamber. So I would be excited to see, because I do a lot of outdoor recording with this device, and so that'd be a oh shit, sorry. Ignore me, ignore my incompetency. Anyway, I hope they fix the overheating issues. That's all I was trying to say. Yeah, let's look at the AirPods, because I'm actually confused about, because they had mentioned yeah, I've heard a lot of people that they're going to order the AirPods Pro 3 because they actually seem like a really good value even at $249. Purely because they have like fantastic noise canceling, like double the noise canceling power of the AirPods 2 or Pro 2, which is crazy because I have the Pro 2s and they're freaking insane for such a small earbud. Let's learn more about the Pro 3. Apparently that they're smaller. I don't know how. Uh, I don't know how they made that smaller. It looks the same to me. Um, I didn't actually get to see this part of the keynote because this was at the very beginning and I was busy at the time. But it says it removes 2x more noise and um, than AirPods Pro 1. So 4 times more than the first gen and 2 times more than the second gen. And yeah, so basically noise cancellation is the huge upgrade here. They also mentioned a feature via software that will be coming to the Pro 2s called active translation. So if you have someone speaking a different language, it'll kind of act like a Google Translate in your ear, so it'll automatically translate that to your language, so which is actually pretty nice. And they introduced heart rate sensors. Now, my question is, why? I mean, I guess if you don't like wearing an Apple Watch, then this makes sense if you do a lot of working out with earbuds in. But this is a problem for me because whenever I sweat even a little bit, the earbuds just fall straight out of my ears. So I would be worried about the seal of the silicone actually working. I don't know. They're also IP7 dust and sweat and water resistance now, which is the first for AirPods. The second gen AirPods are decently water resistant. I have had mine submerged on accident once, and it has survived that once you let it dry out, which is nice. But now they are actually officially rated, which is nice to see. Although I would not take these in the shower, of course, because that's just weird. I don't know why people do that. And it has 4 more hours of battery life with the hearing aid feature on, and 8 more hours of playtime, I believe, with just regular usage. Yeah, here you go. Up to 8 hours total, not more. Sorry, 8 hours total battery life, which is 2 more than the Pro 2, which is 6 hours, and 10 hours if you use transparency. So probably about a, let's say, 50% increase in battery life, which is a lot over the Pro 2s. And the Pro 2s already had good battery life, so yeah, this is a big reason why I want to actually switch back to iPhone is I have AirPods, I have a Mac. Here's the problem. They don't work well with Samsung. Now, if I lose my AirPods, I can't use them via Find My. I can't beep them via my Mac, I don't think. I've tried. It doesn't work. It says you can, but I've tried it. It hasn't worked. The only thing that's worked is trying to use this phone to do it. And what's weird is if I connect my AirPods to my Mac, but they haven't been connected to this specific iPhone in a certain amount of time, they beep. They beep randomly. So that's why I tried to avoid connecting them to my Mac and use wired earbuds with my Mac and use the AirPods with the Samsung and this computer only so they don't do that weird beeping thing. So if I switch back to iPhone, that wouldn't be a problem because if you guys didn't know, I was an iPhone guy for like basically forever, and now I tried Samsung. Well, I had a Google Pixel Fold for 6 or 7 months, and then I got this about 3 months ago, this S24 Ultra, and now I'm considering switching back just because there's nothing wrong with the S24 Ultra, but honestly, there's not much better with the Samsung over the iPhone that would have me, that has, what am I trying to say? There's nothing that the Samsung offers that actually outweighs what the iPhone had that I miss, if that makes sense. So AirDrop, the integration with Macs and stuff like that. So the only thing I can think of that I would miss on my Samsung is the S Pen, which I honestly don't use that much, and the reverse wireless charging, which is honestly a huge lifesaver. I've had to use that a couple times. And it's nice, though granted you can reverse charge another phone with a cable from your iPhone, so if you want to do it that way, that works too. And I would be missing out on things like software customizability, but honestly, iOS has caught up in so many different ways, and I honestly don't believe that is a huge issue. So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Should I switch back to an iPhone? I've been thinking about it. I actually made a list of reasons why or why I wouldn't, so I'm going to pull that up for you guys because I've actually been considering this genuinely over the past couple of hours. I know the phones launched yesterday, but I'm just saying So here's my list. Ironically, it's on Google Keep and not Apple Notes. So here's reasons why I would. So the integration with my MacBook, like I said, the camera performance on iPhones, while it's not statistically proven to be better, I actually think it is in real world scenarios. It gives me more consistent, more usable results. So that's one reason. Another reason would be that it would make for a good YouTube video for this channel, the one you're watching right now. So I could make an unboxing video and some other stuff with the new iPhone. Apple Watch support. Now, I currently have a Google Pixel Watch, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I honestly much prefer an Apple Watch, so I would go back to that. Face ID. Now, people say that the fingerprint scanner on Samsung is good enough to not need decent Face ID. I know it has it, but it's honestly not great. That is honestly wrong in my opinion. If you think that the fingerprint scanner on Samsung devices is better than Face ID, you're wrong, because the fingerprint sensor on my phone, whenever my finger is even remotely dirty, refuses to work. So, yeah. Obviously, another thing with that, for my MacBook, MagSafe would be a huge upgrade. iMessage, AirDrop, the camera control. I think, considering how much I use my iPhone for recording stuff, I actually think that would be a huge upgrade. The action button, which I know came out like 2 years ago, but it still is a useful feature, and my Samsung doesn't actually have a dedicated hotkey for mute and unmute, which I actually kind of miss. And stuff like that. You obviously have the reverse cable charging, the dynamic island, the social acceptance thing, because iPhone's just more popular, better AirPods support, better accessory, satellite, and the vapor chamber. And obviously I put Franklin gets a new phone, because if I got a 17, I would sell my S24 Ultra and give him this, because I wouldn't need this for my camera anymore. So yeah, that's what I would do. And the cons would be a more locked down software experience. Obviously, cost is a cost. Or a con, because if I sold this phone, I'd get about $750 back, and the iPhone cost about $1,100, so I'd be out maybe $500. But I don't know. It's not the end of the world to me, honestly. It turns me into a hypocrite, because I said I wouldn't go back to iPhone, but I'm kind of considering it. Obviously, no reverse wireless charging, no S Pen, no fingerprint scanner. Although I don't like the fingerprint scanner on the S24 anyway, and I don't use Samsung Dex, and the integration with my Google apps would be worse, because it's not Android and it won't work with the Pixel Watch, but that's fine. So realistically, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. The question is, does the cost really matter? I don't know. I mean, whoever's watching, you guys can help persuade me, because that's the whole point of me doing this live stream right now, is because I'm trying to decide on whether or not I actually should switch, because I think it would make for a good video, because the 17s actually seem to be a pretty popular topic, at least right now. So, yeah, what do you guys think I should do? My throat hurts from talking. I don't know. I'm thinking, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going for the 17 Pro in Cosmic Orange. That's 100% what I want to do. It's just the best looking color. Like, you can't argue that this isn't the best iPhone color to ever exist. Like, name a better iPhone color than this. I don't think there is one, at least in my opinion. A close second, I think, would be... I'm honestly not sure what a close second would be. I do like the blue that they had on the iPhone 16 last year. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that color. But I think this is just the best color that they've ever had. You say it's still a 1-inch sensor, but then again, they have... If anything, Apple's actually been the more consistent company when it comes to improving cameras in the real world. Because, yeah, your Android phone, including my Android phone, will make some pictures look better than others. That's only some pictures, at least in my experience. That's just my opinion. Don't come after me for that. But I just think the iPhone gives me a more consistent camera experience, especially in video. That's a dead giveaway for me anyway. See, you see that little focusing thing that just happened there? Nothing happened, but this camera keeps refocusing for some reason. Like, you see that? I'm not moving the phone. Yeah, I'm holding it completely still right now, and it's focusing in and out because it's trying to record a screen, but... Anyway. Side rant. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That's the whole reason I would get this, is for video, because I'm recording video right now. I use this for both my YouTube channels. If you guys didn't know, I have two. This is the bigger one by about 300 subscribers, but I do have two YouTube channels, and this is my primary camera, and I'd like to actually upgrade it, because this one actually doesn't have enough storage, really. It's a 128, so yeah, I keep running out of storage, but that's the whole reason I'd be getting this, is for video. Yeah, so that's my justification to spend $1,100, I guess. Let's compare the Apple Watches, because I'm honestly, like, not sure what the heck they even changed. Oh, yeah, they also announced the Ultra 3 and the new SE. I forgot about that, because they barely changed anything. Yeah. What the heck is a wide-angle OLED? I have no idea what that is. Oh, yeah, I forgot they added, high, blood pressure alerts to the new Apple Watch, which is interesting. Water temperature sensor. Why would you ever need that? Okay, that's weird. Oh, my sister's playing her mellophone. I was like, what's that sound? Faster charging. Why is this charge? Oh, because I guess it's a smaller battery. That's my biggest pet peeve with Apple Watches, honestly, is the battery life is not great. See, right now I'm wearing this Casio watch because my school has banned smartwatches, which is dumb because it's Texas. But yeah, because it's a state law now. But honestly, in my opinion, smartwatches, especially the big popular smartwatches like the Galaxy Watch, the Apple Watch, and the Pixel Watch, those three, they all only have about a 24-hour battery life, which, it's fine, it works, but the problem is when the battery degrades, it doesn't last more than like 18 hours, like it says here. Like the SE3, it's gotta last longer than 18 hours, especially considering that it charges slower. I don't know. Don't really understand that. Yeah, let me compare it to the Series 10. Do the Series 10, and then do the Series 9. I actually had a Series 9 Apple Watch for a while, when I still had my iPhone. So, okay, so the screen is a little bit bigger than the Series 9, not by enough to matter. They also went to titanium on the newer watches. Still not worth the price, though, in my opinion. I would rather buy a used Series 9 than get the 10 or the 11, so... yeah. Remember the days of the first series of Apple Watch? Remember when it wasn't even called the Series 1, it was like the Series 0? That was weird. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Anyway, I think I might end the live stream relatively soon because I've been going like for 40 minutes. Jesus. I just now looked at the timer. Anyway. Yeah, so I saw someone commented a while back that said the 17 is the one to get, and I agree with that if you are if you're a regular person that doesn't use the camera like a ton. But I'm gonna be using the camera, so I kind of want that. Plus the color. You can't tell me that's not the best color. Anyway, yeah, I think I've covered basically everything except for the cases. I'm actually gonna look at that because I noticed something with the iPhone 17 Pro case. Let's go here. Where is it? It's not in here. Yeah, they also announced these new woven cases. I remember they had a product like this initially to replace leather, and it was a huge failure because they started disintegrating. So maybe they're trying a new, I was gonna say flavor, but like new material. um, oh, these are sound essentials. Side note, what's the air like? Why buy the AirPod Max? Okay. What am I doing? I was looking for that case. That's right. Um, I don't know if it's on here, but they had a 17 Pro clear case. Yeah, right here. Here we go. So you'll notice even on the orange phones, it still has this white insert. And I have a hypothesis as to why, and I think I've seen some pictures as why that might make sense. The MagSafe rings, I think, are off center because you'll notice the Apple logo isn't actually in the center of the phone. It's in the center of this glass bit now. And I think the Apple or the MagSafe ring is right here, and so it wouldn't be in the center of the MagSafe ring. So I think they covered that up to make it look more consistent. That's just my guess, though. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. But yeah, I'm going to end the live stream. So goodbye, everyone.